a lot of things. We've cut taxes, we've reorganized our educational system, we've invested in workforce training, and there are all kinds of numbers showing our economy is doing better. One of the things I'm also proud of, however, is the fact that year after year, for several years in a row, we've been rated the most pro-life state in the entire country. And you know, governors tend to be competitive. When we get together at conferences, we tend to compare. If one state's doing something good, they will generally talk about it, and other states will try to copy it or improve it, and that's a good thing. It's kind of like sports teams in high school. You know, you want to be the best. If you hear somebody else is doing something well, you want to learn from them. And so we have learned from other states, and I'm proud to say other states have learned from us. Why is this so important? Well, there are a lot of reasons this is important. You've probably heard a lot of those explanations. You've probably reviewed many of those things. I want to share one particular perspective that may be a little different than what you've heard today. You know, as you graduate from high school, as you go to college, as you pursue your careers, you're going to be entering a society that's very different than the ones that your parents or your grandparents went into. And in some ways, those changes are good. You know, in some ways, there's technology, there's improvements, there are things that are a lot better than we could have imagined many years ago. My kids, for example, they've grown up, and as long as they've been alive, they've been able to have affordable, portable computing devices. They've grown up at a time where they don't watch ads. They fast forward through that. They watch what they want, when they want, where they want. If they're playing sports, they can watch other live sporting events out there. Their grandmother, my mom, grew up at a time where there's no TV. No remote controls, no antennas, no TV at all. And so that just shows you how much things have gotten better and improved. One of the ways that society has changed, however, from when your parents and your grandparents were growing up to when you will graduate and leave school, is we have become a much more secular society. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that increasingly you're going to be salt and light in this world. Increasingly, wherever you live. Maybe many of you will stay in Louisiana. Maybe some of you will go elsewhere to get an education. Hopefully you'll come back and live your lives here. Increasingly, you're not going to be, your views won't be the only views in our society. There was a time when there were huge majorities of people saw the world the same way and thought similar things. As you grow up, as you enter, and probably before you experience this in school, there's a greater diversity of views. And I think part of this camp has been teaching about how to share your views, how to articulate your views in a respectful way, but in a sincere way, and how you can not only talk to people who already agree with you, but also how you can persuade people who maybe haven't thought about these issues, or maybe are undecided about these issues. Now, there are two ways to look at the fact that you're going to a secular society, a more secular society. One, you could say, woe is us. And that's pretty popular. You turn on the cable news, you turn on CNN or Fox or MSNBC, there's usually somebody yelling on TV about how this is the worst time ever, about how things used to be better when they were younger, about how everything is going in the wrong direction. I don't know about you, but I don't really believe all that nonsense. I think people always say that. I think we're blessed to live in a great country. I think it's the greatest country in the history of the world. I think as a country, our best days are ahead of us, not behind us. But I also think we believe we worship a risen Lord. And that's pretty powerful when you really stop and think about what that means. Believing in an empty tomb. I mean, it's like God has given us the book of life and said, I'm not going to let you look at the page for today or tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you what grade you're going to get this fall. I'm not going to tell you whether the person you like is going to like you back. I'm not going to tell you whether you're going to get the college you want to get into. I'm not going to tell you whether you're going to get the profession you want. I'm not going to tell you when you're going to get married. I'm not going to tell you where you're going to live. I'm not necessarily telling you all that. You're just going to have to go and figure that out and learn, and that's just going to be revealed little by little. But instead, he says, and he does something even more important than that. He turns to the last page in the book of life, and he lets us look there. And on the last page, our God wins. I mean, worshiping an all-powerful God, that's a pretty liberating thing. It's amazing. It's like watching a football game, and your team may be behind in the first quarter by 50 points. And you know your team's going to win. You have no idea what's going to happen in the second and third quarter. And maybe it's frustrating. You get sacked, or maybe you turn over the ball and you think, well, this just sucks. But the nice thing is you know at the end of the game, your team's going to win. I don't know God's plan. None of us knows exactly what his plans are for us, for our state, for our country, for our society. God doesn't have to reveal that. He'll choose it, and he'll reveal that in his time. And I think there may be things we don't understand in this life. I think there will be a lot of things that in this life we're just not meant to understand. And that's a very frustrating thing, by the way. And as believers, we're taught to have patience. I don't know about you, but that's a tough thing for me. Because I want to know now. And I want him to explain to me, but that's not how it works. We're called to have faith. And so, one view of the world, being more secular, more diverse, where more people are going to have views different from yours, not only in life, but other issues as well, is to get frustrated, is to get angry, is to say, woe is us. I don't know about you, but to me that's not a very attractive way to live your life. It's not a very faithful way to live your life. I became a Christian, actually as a high school student. One of the things that attracted me was I saw all these people who had a sense of love and peace and fulfillment and purpose and contentment. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I wanted it. I didn't know what they had, but I knew there was something in their lives that was missing in mine. I later realized it was the Holy Spirit. Now imagine instead if I had a group of people that all they did was complain and moan and groan and say, boy, things used to be great. 50 years ago, this was a great place. Who wants to join a group like that? Who in the world wants to join a group that's walking around complaining all the time about how awful it is? Now, I'm not saying you got to be Pollyannish. I'm not saying you got to say pretend things are perfect. But I think we are called to be people of faith. The second way to view our world, be more secular, more diverse, having more people that are going to have different views than yours. It's said, what a great opportunity to solve life for me. What a great opportunity to make a difference. I predict and I guarantee for every one of you, there will be a moment. Maybe it'll be in a dorm room, maybe it'll be in a college classroom, maybe it'll be at a workplace, maybe it'll be just on a weekend with friends where you're going to be challenged. And where you're going to be the minority viewpoint. Now, you're not the minority viewpoint in this room, you're not the minority viewpoint at camp, you're not the minority viewpoint when you go to church, you may not be the minority viewpoint in your families, and so it may be a different experience. But there will be a moment, there might be several moments where you'll be the one that's outnumbered, and there will be several people, some of whom are just hostile to your view of the world, some of whom are just genuinely curious. They've just never met anybody like you. I can't tell you how many times in college I'd have people say, I've just never met anybody who thinks like that. Explain to me. And that's just a wonderful opportunity. Instead of looking at it and saying, well, woe is us, well, for me, you can look at it and say, I may be the only person that has a chance to share this perspective with this person. I may not have met anybody else that's had my experiences or my view on life or my view on faith. And the final thing I'll say is, we are called, the Bible teaches us, it is our job to plant seeds. That's an amazing thing. God allows us, empowers us, wants us to be partners with Him in spreading that light and spreading that gospel. But He also tells us it's not up to you to decide whether the ground is rocky or fertile. And what that means is you're not going to be successful in every conversation. There are going to be times where it is going to be frustrating. And there are going to be times where people don't agree with you. There are going to be times when you just feel like you're not making an impact or an impression. So I would tell you two things. One, it's not up to you. God explicitly tells us that. He tells us there are going to be times when the ground is rocky, where it's not going to be fertile, but seeds aren't going to take root. He predicts that. He's telling you, go do this, and I'm predicting for you that it's not going to always work. And that's okay. You need to be joyful about it and keep doing it. The second thing is you don't always know the fruits of the seeds that you plant. You're not always going to see the results. We are called to sow. We're not always called to reap. For my faith journey, it took me 7 long years to become a Christian and accept Christ. And there are people that gave up along the way. There are people that say, oh, it'll never happen. There are people to this day, I don't know if they know they have the impact they had on my life. It may be a conversation, maybe a book you give somebody, maybe a witness, it may just be a casual encounter that you don't even remember. I truly believe when we're done on this world, I truly believe in the next life, when God does reveal His plan, I think there are going to be people whose lives you've impacted you don't even realize. You're going to be astonished and stunned. I didn't even realize that I knew this person. I didn't even realize that comment I made, that book I shared, that prayer I did. I can't even believe that made a difference. And you make profound differences in people's lives, sometimes without realizing. So I want to thank you for spending your time in this camp. I want to thank you for your commitment to the life issue. I want to thank you for being light and salt in a world that desperately needs it. What the world doesn't need is another group of victims. America doesn't need any more wonders. We really don't. There are plenty of people out there saying, woe is us, poor me, I'm getting picked on, I need special this, I need special that, life's not fair. Well, you know what? That's not what built this country. Yes, we must protect the weak and the vulnerable, those that don't have a voice. But I think God has created you in His image, and He loves you, and He's given you amazing talents and gifts. And I'm excited to know how you will develop those and see you mature and grow over the years. My final word is this, though. Let's go out there with joy. Let's go out there with cheer. Let's go out there with the faith that at the end, our God wins. He gets up off the cross. He's not in the tomb anymore. And that's an amazing thing. And I think as we do that, it is encouraging to see Louisiana become a place that is more and more receptive to protecting this kingdom of life. It is encouraging to see in our country more and more people welcome that and grow in those beliefs and grow in that and those convictions. And you are an important part of that. So the next time you have a parent or grandparent say things were better in my day, remind them things are still pretty good in this day. And things are getting even better in this great state, in this great country. I want to thank y'all for coming. Like I said, I know they talked to you a little bit about the history of the mansion. I know that you're getting towards the end of your summer break. So I also hope that you have a safe and a great school year as well. I think we wanted to take some pictures. I think we decided that the best place to do that is outside, since we've got such a great, and it's a good problem that we've got such a large group. I'm taking all these selfies. You can't